Goldman and Nicole got cut throat from ear to ear. Somebody reached in with pliers and pulled their tongues out through the slit throat. That's a Colombian necktie.
Wait a minute.
They never got out. The witness by the state. He said, no one somebody did this. That took at least two people. And by the way, you got two sets of footprints in the dried blood. One somebody wore a size 10 shoe, and the other one somebody wore a 10 and a half, and one somebody wore size 9, and OJ wears a size 12.
Yeah, he big boy.
And you know that if it does not fit, you must acquit. Well, see, the preliminary of that is a guy named Richard Zuckerward that I knew who made the gloves. He took tracing of everybody's hand. Furman's hand was a size L. OJ's is a 2XL. So Johnny Cochran knew that glove wasn't going to fit him because it was a size L. It fit Furman, and Furman discovered it. See, but they didn't tell you all this. They just wanted you to stay tuned. That stuff about saying that the police planted evidence, well, what the press didn't do is 4 of the chief detectives on the OJ case went to the penitentiary for falsifying information on 128 defendants they had to let out of jail. And see, what the press didn't let you know, but you do if you watch the whole thing or tape it like I did. I taped it on a TV in my chambers, and every day when I got through, rather than hang out with all the traffic, I'd watch. Okay, check this out. Because LAPD stole so much property from rich folks' houses, they had a security team. The security team would come in and video the whole scene before crime scene went in. Okay? At 1:14 a.m. by the clock that's running up there in the corner of the video, you see the foot of the bed. It's well lit. I mean, they paying. No bloody socks. Half hour later, excuse me, sir, what are you doing? Who are you? You can hear somebody in the background talking. Well, Detective Detective Furman? Well, you'll have to leave, sir. You can't come in here. So, you hear that 5 minutes later. Detective Furman, did we not tell you you had to leave? Yeah. And then they pan the camera around. You look through 2 bedrooms, and there is Furman standing at the foot of the bed.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then later on, when crime scene gets there, you see where Furman had been standing, and now you see bloody socks where Furman was standing. Man. By the way, Furman wore a size 9 shoe too, so that was interesting. And my friend who was the knife killing expert, we won't say what he did, but what he was doing for a living, but somebody that was left-handed with the knife turned horizontal so it would not stick in the ribs, slipped it in, wrecked the aorta in the 2 upper chambers of the heart, you know that. And that was the fatal wound. Each one of the victims, Goldman and Nicole, had that fatal wound. And then after they died, their throats were split.
So they did after the throat was the throat was slit after they died.
Yeah. You know, so the other thing that was interesting that, and by the way, the person that was reporting on all of this was Nancy Grace, Chief Sleaze in charge. So anyway, what happened was they had some people in the federal witness protection program that testified out of the jury's presence, shadowed and the voices obscured. They said they thought it was a warning to them because each of them was dating one of Nicole's sisters. Now here's what's interesting. Somebody did get cut out there. And that's what they were using to do the DNA analysis. Well, the state, without checking on their witnesses, called 3 people about this DNA. One of them was a professor for the other 2 who testified on cross-examination that they didn't do too well in class. And when he looked at the DNA thing with the wavy lines, he said, well, yeah, this is someone similar to OJ, but it's not OJ. He said there are about 96,000 people in the LA County area that could have donated this sample. He said it's interesting because what the DNA reveals is the person had a high percentage of Northeast Mediterranean ancestry, or interestingly enough, from the island of Sicily. Now, here through people in the mafia, in the witness protection program, talking about somebody was sending a message to them. So the jury didn't have any proof. Darden and Clark were just acting damn fools and giving an illustration on how not to try a case. The jury went back there, made some coffee, had a smoke, and said, anybody got any problems? Anybody not guilty? No, well, who wants to be the foreman? How about you? Well, write it up. And they came back in 30 minutes because they didn't have a case. And Cochran said, rush to judgment. But you see, Darden and Clark had never really been challenged. They were rookies, basically, because everybody was rolling over like they do. So when you got somebody that knew what he was doing and you had to actually prove a case, they couldn't do it. And what Cochran told me when I chatted with him sometime at some length later on, he said, all I did, Joe, was I just got people who were, 40s and 50s who grew up in L.A. and knew how bad LAPD will lie. So I got to change a venue because where they wanted to try it, it would have been a whole bunch of white folks. So I got it where we had 9 blacks, 1 Asian, and 2 Hispanics. And everybody had a negative experience with LAPD. So it was easier for them to accept the proposition that they framed them at, which is exactly what happened. See, Nancy Grace was telling the public, it's impossible for OJ to escape this. They really nailed it to him today. This was devastating evidence against the defense. I remember I looked at it, and this guy said he and his father had a contract with LAPD to tow evidence for 27 years. He said everybody looked over the vehicle when it came in, didn't find a drop of blood in it. It was locked in this special compound that only had 4 locks on it that only the detectives had the key to. And when they were directed to go tow it down to the evidence lab, they went in and they found blood all through the thing. So Darden and Clark are trying to attack their own witness because the stupid fools never interviewed the person, and Cochran had. So he just chewed them up. So that's what Nancy Grace was saying was devastating evidence against the defense. That it doesn't get any better for the defense than that. So I mean, it's like the public gets fed a bill of goods.
It's just like they doing that